The night Daniel Harris dropped his daughter off, rain stitched the streets into silver ribbons and guilt pressed heavier than the clouds. He killed the engine, sat still, and listened to the ticking of cooling metal as if it were a countdown to judgment. His hands trembled, not from the one drink too many at a co-worker's retirement, but from the fear of being seen as the kind of father he never meant to be. Grace stirred in the back seat, her forehead resting against the window. "Daddy?" she murmured, voice soft and trusting. That single word pierced him deeper than any accusation. Daniel swallowed, steadying himself. "We're here, sweetheart," he said, forcing warmth into his tone as he climbed out and lifted her into his arms. She smelled like lavender shampoo and sleep, and for a moment the world felt fragile in his grasp. The porch light flicked on before he knocked. The door opened to reveal Sarah Mitchell, Grace's mother, wrapped in a cardigan that looked like it had been knitted with patience. Her eyes moved from Daniel's face to his unsteady stance and back again. She didn't scold him. She didn't sigh. She simply said, "Would he like to stay over?" The question landed between them like a bridge Daniel didn't know how to cross. He had been bracing for anger, for a lecture, for a door shut in his face. Instead, there was an invitation. Quiet, unassuming, and merciful. He nodded, ashamed, and followed Sarah inside as if stepping into a sanctuary he didn't deserve. Their story had not begun this way. Years earlier, Daniel and Sarah had stood in the same living room arguing in whispers so Grace wouldn't hear. Daniel had been newly widowed when he met Sarah at church, a single dad carrying grief like a second shadow. Sarah, patient and kind, had offered friendship first. Love came later, gentle and surprising. They married with hope stitched into every vow. But life tested them. Daniel worked long hours as a mechanic, his hands always stained, his back always tired. At church, Daniel sat beside Sarah and Grace for the first time in months. The hymns felt heavier, truer. When the pastor spoke about restoration and humility, Daniel felt the words land not as condemnation but as invitation. He bowed his head, asking God not just for forgiveness, but for wisdom. The weeks that followed were not easy. Co-parenting meetings turned into counseling sessions. Old arguments resurfaced. Trust rebuilt slowly, brick by brick. Daniel cut back on overtime. Sarah learned to voice her needs without apology. They stumbled. They prayed. They kept showing up. One evening, months later, Daniel stood on that same porch, sober and steady, holding a small potted plant. Sarah opened the door, surprise flickering into warmth. "Peace offering," he said, holding it out. "I'm learning how to keep things alive." She laughed, a sound that felt like sunlight. "Come in," she said. "Would you like to stay for dinner?" Grace watched from the hallway, hope shining in her eyes. Daniel stepped inside, heart full and humble. He knew challenges would come: money worries, busy schedules, the work of forgiveness that never truly ends. But he also knew this: love, when guided by grace and accountability, could grow stronger after breaking. That night, as they prayed together before bed, Daniel realized the real miracle wasn't that Sarah had opened the door. It was that God had never closed it. And in that truth, he found an inspiring promise, not of perfection, but of redemption, one faithful step at a time.